I'm Tyler Wilde here at PAX Prime in the Astral Lounge with Liam Raum talking about Barkley 2, which is this is a wonderful setting, and you are a wizard. Can you tell people who don't know sort of about the Barkley saga and how we got to this point, you and I sitting here in this lounge?
Well, we traveled through the cosmos, through space and time, and we've arrived at a place that is neither physical nor imaginary. It's sort of in the boundary between the universe and heaven, if you would call it that, and hell itself. Sheol, the Jewish space between heaven and hell, is probably the most accurate interpretation. How we got here is an interesting story. We followed the intensely canon storyline of the Hoops Barkley saga. We're now in Chapter 2, and we're showing it here at the Indie Mega booth at PAX Prime.
Okay, and in Barkley 2, things are a little different than the first game, which was a JRPG style. Now it's more an action RPG style. There's some guns, crafting. Can you talk about what you've changed, why you've made that change, and sort of what you're parodying?
Sure. It's funny, interesting thing. Barkley 2 is actually written before Barkley 1, even, sort of. It was the original game. Barkley 1 was just sort of the excuse to get to this game. It's huge. Just like the first one, we thought was really funny that we kept making it into an entire game. This one, we're making it into a really big game. And the idea is, because you're only one person, it sort of is weird to have a turn-based JRPG game with only one character. And so while you do have a party, we thought an action game would benefits more with a single player. So that's why we went that way. Your party is sort of represented by 5 guns that you carry around. They have names. They are actual characters. They're actually children of other guns that are bred together. You breed them, you name them, you tame them from wild guns, and then from that, as you keep fusing them or breeding them together, a lot like a Shin Megami Tensei game, you develop a relationship with them, and you expand and level up as you go on.
So I also remember hearing that aside from breeding guns, you have sort of a system where what you choose to do is going to change the flow of the story. Can you talk a bit about what those quests might be and how your decisions, depending on what you do, might change things?
Yeah, so Barkley, one of the things that we found is that it's kind of like a very negatively made game. We just are trying to fix all the things of all these games that we really love but hate these particular parts in them. And one of the things in most games, the game is sort of built around the player. So everybody waits for you to come by and help them and save their daughter or whatever. And in this game, nobody cares about you at all. The time is continuing. If someone at that moment needs help, then they'll ask you for help. If they don't need help, then they just don't care about you. They aren't interested in talking to you or anything. So the idea is that as time progresses, certain characters are looking for help, and then other times they just can't be fucked with you. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I curse? Yeah, okay, cool. They can't be fucked. So with that, there are other characters in the game that are completing quests. If you're too slow, then they get the reward, you don't. A lot of quests don't have rewards. The idea of this is that we're not really, so every game, every playthrough, as long as you don't choose exactly the same things, will always result in a completely different game, even vastly different. But the idea of our game is not multiple playthroughs. It's more that you and I could play the game and have completely different experiences, and then at that time, it's sort of structured around a few events, but how you got to those events could be totally different than how I got to them. So hopefully when people play it, 2 people could have just a conversation and have no idea what the other person's talking about, which is our goal.
So you guys also recently released a pretty amazing live-action trailer. Do you want to talk a bit about the process of making that and what you're showing here at PAX?
We put out a trailer sort of spoofing, I guess, Final Fantasy VII Remake. And because they don't have a release date, we thought that we should not have one either, essentially, by giving us a release date 8 years from now. So it'll be done by then.
So when is the release date then?
November 11th, 2023.
So it's a long wait, but it'll be worth it. I imagine there's a huge game. How big would you say the game is?
I think a single playthrough, as we were saying, that the playthroughs are all going to be different. Our goal is to get to the point where some people or some content of the game is just never, ever, ever seen, ever, by anyone. And if we hit that point, then we'll be happy. So that's probably about a 40-hour content, but each playthrough is only about 10 to 12 hours.
Well, you have several more years to get there, so we look forward to it. Thanks for talking with us,
Thank you very much.
Liam, in this Astral Lounge.